I struggle to find out, to look at where we are. But to have big brothers here this morning who have been toiling the land, really inspiring, asking for their voices to be heard for Africa. And they are not in pictures this morning, but right behind us. When we watch His Excellency Raila Odinga here, it's like it's not strange. When you see him close to you, it's not strange, because you have been seeing him through your life. Because the world is a global village now. We hear everything that you say. We listen to everything. We watch Kenya per second. And to watch, our big brother Lumumba himself, the doctor, professor, to be here with us this morning. I think the spirit of Africa is in this room. The spirit of Africa. But I bring you greetings. I want to say greetings and congratulations for this event. And anyone who is here today, you are not here by accident. You are here because you need to hear the voice that you need to hear, so that you can look at yourself again, whether you think you are special by the inspiring spoken word, words that we have heard resounding and resonating with the words of Bob Marley, a big brother who has gone to rest, but his voice still echoes for the continent of Africa. I want you to know that seated here this morning, that as an African, that whatever you are doing on behalf of Africa, that is so important for Africa, because you are doing it on behalf of the black race. For many years, many of your brothers and sisters, our ancestors, were taken from the shores of Africa. They are still suffering. They are still being looked at. You witness the issue of George Floyd. You are watching a very powerful African who was truncated, stamped, and died right in front of you, in front of the cameras. So the case of Africa is for us to look at ourselves and redefine ourselves. I think one of the key things for our founding fathers, many of our founding fathers, those who were getting it right, they took them broad daylight, and many of them were shot down, pulled down, killed, brutally murdered in front of all of us at that time. But the African still is rising. What is the quality of the African? What is the content of the African? And I was at a conference a few months ago somewhere in Europe, and I was talking. I said, for the continent of Africa, the migration that is happening within Africa. There's a lot of migration within the countries itself and within the continent itself. But you need to be interested in what is happening in Africa for them to get it right. You may want them to get it wrong. But when we can no longer exist in our continent because of the population of Africa, we can go to any direction in Europe or America or anywhere in the world, because we will still go. Many will drown, but humanity will find a way to exist. And that is the case of the issues of migration, because regular migration is going on, nobody is talking about it. But when it's irregular migration, people are worried about it. And then we need to calm down. The issues of representation, women representation in Africa is a big issue. And we have to, mothers in Africa are crying because the blood of Africa, the blood of African children are flowing. There is a lot of conflict everywhere. And as a woman, when I hear that 20 people have been killed in DRC, maybe some children, because they are on the streets in Kenya, they have been killed, or in the city of Sudan, or in Nigeria itself, that we have lost 200 people. I think of the 200 women who are pregnant. When you have 200 pregnancies, you can only imagine, if you close your eyes and shade it a bit and say 200 pregnancies, all of them being had. You need to look at the time from pregnancy to the time that the child has matured, and then they just tell you one day that 200 have been hacked down. I have had the opportunity, while working in East Africa, to go around about 15 countries to work and to connect with the civil society organizations across the continent. The spirit of Pan-Africa must continue to rise. Women of Africa should no longer sleep the way they are sleeping. The reason is that your children are really being hurt. When you have young population, because in Nigeria, we have to also root it home, that more than 62% of the population are young people, but there are no jobs, heavy unemployment, maternal mortality, the issues of bad governance, primitive accumulation of wealth all over. People are looting. So what is the content and the quality of the African? Who are you as an African? If a child is grown, is grown. But when you get up to an elderly spot, you are at the age of 60 or above, and you are still looting, where are you taking the money from? Where are you taking the money to? Whatever you are doing with that money, we are not taking anything from this world. So the wealth of Africa needs to be used for Africans, but Africans are being used against Africans. What is the quality of those Africans who are being used against Africans? Because no coup happens without an African. No trouble is happening within your own vicinity without yourselves. We need to rethink. As we think about democracy in Africa, we're having African leaders who have been there for the past how many years? I'm hearing that the 92-year-old, or is it 93-year-old, wishes to go for another election. I was in Cameroon, in school in Cameroon, I think it was 1997, as a young woman in school in Boya. The president who is there now was there contesting at that time. I was wondering why he was contesting after so many years, but he's still contesting. So the land of Africa, our leaders, you know, you can honor yourself as a leader when it is time for you to leave, just like His Excellency has said. You know when to withdraw, and you also know when to push forward. So it is important that we look at Africans. We have qualified young men and women. We have qualified, I believe in intragenerational. We cannot lead alone. But the time has come when we need to rethink Africa. There is no home like Africa. The destination of the world is Africa. In Nigeria alone, we have about 490 different minerals. Many of them are untapped. The world will come to Africa. How we organize ourselves is very frustrating when you are traveling internationally and you go to a country within Africa, they will tell you to move aside. Europeans will come, they will tell them to go. They will tell you step aside, especially if you are from Nigeria. They say you are special, please can you step aside? And you can be there for hours. I think we need to think about what His Excellency has said, that we need to open the borders. Who are you frightened about? Africa is Africa. The black person is the black person. You are being victimized and you are victimizing yourself. We need to have one language. But in preparing ourselves, we have language barrier. The French, if somebody takes you as an Anglophone person to the Francophone side, then you see suffering. To prepare our younger generation, we need to learn the languages. I congratulate the organizers of this forum, but I'm really, really excited to be here before each and every one of you. And for our big brothers, Karibuni, Nigeria. Asante sana.
And yes.